Good morning to you. We are following breaking news. Former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Colin Powell, has died.
Yeah, some sad news to start off your Monday here. The 84-year-old died of complications from COVID-19. He was fully vaccinated but battled underlying conditions, including Parkinson's disease. Meg Oliver takes a look at Powell's life of service.
When President Bush appointed Colin Powell as Secretary of State, he became the highest-ranking African-American official in the history of the United States. His was a true American success story. His parents were Jamaican immigrants who raised him in the South Bronx. After graduating from the City College of New York, he took an Army commission and served in Vietnam. He rose in the ranks, becoming a general, and was appointed the head of the National Security Council by President Ronald Reagan. More honors were to follow. During the next administration, President George Herbert Walker Bush made Powell chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest military position in the Defense Department. Again, Powell was the first African American to hold the post. Operation Desert Storm in 1991 made Powell an even more familiar face.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. First, we're going to cut it off.
When he retired from the Army, Powell wrote his autobiography and chaired America's Promise, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building character in young people. There was speculation he might run for president, but his wife, Alma, was against it. Then Powell was called upon by George W. Bush.
I am honored to be given the opportunity to return to public service as the 65th Secretary of State.
Though initially opposed to the idea, Powell agreed to go along with the Bush administration's plan to forcibly overthrow Saddam Hussein. Using his greatest asset, his popularity with the public, he went before the United Nations and the world to build a case for invading Iraq.
Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
Later, after the United States was firmly entrenched in the war, inaccuracies were found in Powell's speech, and the Bush administration said it acted on faulty intelligence. Powell admitted the UN speech was a painful blot on his record and pushed for reform in the intelligence community.
I'm so proud that I have had this chance to serve my nation.
In 2008, the longtime Republican made news when he endorsed Barack Obama for president. Powell spent his final years in the private sector, but he remained vocal on political issues that were important to him. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
And again, a big loss for our nation today. Colin Powell's family releasing a statement. They did thank the staff at Walter Reed National Medical Center for taking such good care of him there.
He also said, "We lost a remarkable and loving husband, father, grandfather, and a great American." So we will have more updates for you throughout the morning on the passing of Colin Powell.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your local headlines this morning. New this morning, an investigation is underway into water rescue involving a possible panga off our coast. This is in the North County.
So multiple agencies have been responding to this call overnight, and News 8's Evan Ronnie is live in Carlsbad with an update for us. Good morning to you, Evan.
Good morning to you as well, Eric and Stella. That's right. The agency is responding to this Oceanside PD, Carlsbad PD, as well as the Sheriff's Department providing that overhead support. Now, the call came in just around 11:30 last night, and we still do not have many details surrounding what exactly took place. But what we know so far is that the call came in about a possible drowning that took place just around 11:30. Now, in terms of what we have confirmed with the Carlsbad PD, we know that one person was pulled from the surf. We don't know the condition of that person or even if they were alive when they were pulled out of the water. This is on Carlsbad Boulevard, just around Tamarack State Beach. We also know Oceanside PD was involved in the water rescue side of things, and that Astria Sheriff's helicopter was also used. Still unknown what prompted the response or if there were more people involved. We again have heard that there was a possibility that there was more than one person involved in this rescue operation, but so far all we have confirmed with the Carlsbad PD is that one person was pulled out of the water. And again, we have not gotten it confirmed as to whether or not this involved a possible panga boat, but again, are still awaiting more details on that from any official source as to what exactly took place. But again, we are also hoping to find out the status of that person who was pulled out of the water, whether or not they were pulled out alive or if they are, if they had passed away. We still haven't been given any of that information. We likely will find that out later on today as the sun starts to make its way up and as those members of those official agencies come in and are able to give us a little bit more information. But for now, in Carlsbad, I'm Evan Irani, News 8.
And this morning, school districts across our state are getting ready for a sit-out.
Some parents and teachers are fighting back against the COVID vaccine requirements. News 8's Chris Groh is live at Balboa Park, one of the locations where a group of parents plan to come together this morning. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, good morning. It'll be interesting to see exactly what we hear and what we see later on this morning. A lot of these vaccine protests, these mandate protests, as well as anti-mask protests have included a number of different characters: parents, teachers, students, and then sometimes people who, again, don't have kids in school districts, or maybe don't have kids at all, but call themselves activists against mandates of all kinds. So again, it will be interesting to see what we have out here today at Balboa Park, as well as at other locations. Organizers say that you are going to hear a number of different voices.
I have heard from a lot of families that they don't have any intention of homeschooling or pulling their kids from school, but they're taking part in the day tomorrow because they don't want to be rushed into a decision over this vaccine that is very new.
Now, Sharon McKeeman, the founder of Let Them Breathe and Let Them Choose, and she says not one group is organizing this, but again, there are a lot of people invested. On top of protesting the mandate, she says this event is for parents, as you just heard there, to learn more about homeschooling. According to a blog Sharon runs, she homeschools her children already. Now, her group, Let Them Breathe, filed a lawsuit against San Diego Unified after their vaccine mandate was announced. The San Diego Unified mandate is different from the statewide one. It did come in 3 days earlier. It requires those 16 and older to get the vaccine because that age up until 18 has been federally approved by the FDA. Those kids must have their first shot by November 29th and last dose by December 20th, or they cannot participate in on-site education. While some parents are fighting back against the mandate because it's a mandate or over concerns about the vaccine, some parents are upset that there's been this much pushback to the mandate. In fact, this mom from the LA Unified School District, she spoke with CBS News about that.
Having children and students sit out of school, many of which haven't really had a normal year for 18 months, is really doing them a disservice.
Now, the County Office of Education did respond to our request for comment. It said, "We understand that families and students may have strong emotions and questions about COVID-19 safety measures, including vaccine and testing requirements for students and staff. However, keeping children home from school to protest state policies only results in lost learning time for our students. Showing up for school each day has a huge impact on a student's academic success starting in kindergarten and continuing through high school." Now, the statewide mandate isn't expected to take place until January because the statewide mandate does start with those 12 and older, but those ages there, 12, 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, technically FDA has not approved what would be the Pfizer vaccine for those ages, and that approval isn't expected to come until January. Now, emergency use authorization has been granted for those age groups. And if you have any questions about the vaccine or any where to get it, essentially, go to our website, cbs8.com, and click on that help button. Eric and Stella.
Chris, thank you. This week, the nation's top health agencies could approve booster shots for the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
An FDA advisory panel recommended the 2 boosters last week. Now it's up to the FDA and the CDC to give the final green light, nearly a month after doing the same for Pfizer. The agencies may allow Americans to get a different booster than what they originally received. Some experts say mixing vaccines may be beneficial, especially for the 15 million who got the Johnson & Johnson shot.
Here we are on a Monday, taking a peek outside. A little cooler start to the week if you're into that sort of thing after that hot Saturday that we had. Wow.
Right? Yeah, it was a hot start to the weekend, and then we started cooling down a little. Sunday was our transition day, and now here we are, noticing a little green right here on our satellite radar. So the radar imagery right here shows just over Playas de Tijuana, it looks like some light action. Not too crazy, obviously, this morning. Just drizzle as possible and very light minimal rainfall. If we get any measurable anything at all, I would be surprised. But we are looking at a deep marine layer, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of green showing up there. So we'll keep an eye on that radar and let you know where it might be coming down. 61 degrees under cloudy skies in Chula Vista, 65 for downtown, 60 in El Cajon. These are your current temperatures, but look at these. Our afternoon highs will not be changing that much. We're going to stay mainly in the low 60s for inland areas, the coast, mid-60s. That's it. So it's going to stay cool today. Relative humidity numbers, they're up because we have this onshore flow bringing all kinds of moisture in from the coastline. So 80s and 90s for that humidity. And then our winds are coming out from the west. These are the westerly winds, that onshore flow we talk about. And you're going to notice it's going to get a little breezy this afternoon. Right now, just the mountains, east of the mountains. If you're headed that way, just know it might get a little windier here over the next few hours. So I'll take you through about the 10, 11 o'clock hour, and you'll see 20-mile-per-hour wind gusts coming through. The mountains 40 to possibly 50 miles per hour. And now here's a check of traffic. So for now, everything's looking good. Again, the wind in the mountains, that's what you may notice if you're headed east at all. And actually, this just popped up, so I'll look into that and let you know what exactly happened there. But overall, speeds are starting to slow a little bit. This is the 163 going through Hillcrest on the southbound side, and that's just some minor slowing. And then you have that backup that tends to happen at this hour right there in Coronado at the base, and that's where it looks like just people are waiting to get through the gates. And overall, though, that's kind of all we're dealing with. Stella.
And thank you. This morning, investigators are looking into what caused a massive fire at an auto scrapyard. Just look at these images. Look at the smoke, the flames. The fire happening on Saturday near an auto repair shop and a vehicle storage facility. The flames destroyed about 200 vehicles at a wrecking yard. No injuries were reported.
This morning, the U.S. Coast Guard has taken a closer look at a ship they think is linked to the oil spill off the coast of Huntington Beach. The Coast Guard is now calling the Mediterranean Shipping Company and the Dordelis Finance Corporation, the owner of the vessel, quote, parties of interest. Ship tracking data shows that on January 25th, during stormy weather, the vessel drifted east and dragged its anchor across the pipeline in question. Today, local Congressman Mike Levin will join other lawmakers in Orange County for a hearing on the spill's impacts. Meanwhile, more tar balls are being reported on San Diego beaches. A viewer sent us these images of tar balls that washed up at Winland Sea Beach. Officials still have to test them to see if these tar balls are connected to the oil spill. But if you do find any tar balls, don't touch them. We have a link on how to report them at CBS8.com. Just click on the help button.